Why haven't I seen anybody talking about this combo yet? Hi, welcome to EDH Tactician, where I break down Magic the Gathering tactics for Commander and teach you how to level up your decks and win more games. The Enigma Jewel has captured my imagination since the release of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. For 1 blue mana, you get a legendary artifact that taps for 2 colorless mana, which can only be spent to pay for activated abilities. However, it can be transformed using the new craft mechanic into the Locus of Enlightenment. Locus of Enlightenment gains all activated abilities of cards used to craft it, which can only be activated once per turn. However, the important part for this deck tech is that you copy any non-mana ability you activate and can choose new targets for the ability. And that does mean any activated abilities, not just those on the Locus. The biggest downside to all of this is the outright brutal cost to craft the Enigma Jewel. 8 colorless mana and a blue. Not to mention at least 4 artifacts on the battlefield or in your graveyard with activated abilities that you can sacrifice. What if there were an easier way? Enter Tetzin, Gnome Champion. This is a legendary creature in Jeskai colors, blue, red, white, released in the Lost Caverns of Ixalan that also has a craft ability. For just 4 colorless mana and any 6 artifacts, it transforms into the Golden Gear Colossus. When the Colossus enters the battlefield or attacks, it transforms a target double-faced artifact for free. And wouldn't you know it, the Enigma Jewel is such an artifact. With Tetzin in the command zone and the Enigma Jewel lurking as a secret commander in the 99, we have everything we need to make an amazing Planeswalker Superfriends deck. I put together a full deck, which you can find a link to in the description of this video. Let's break it down. Planeswalker loyalty abilities are activated abilities, and Locus of Enlightenment will give us an extra copy of any non-mana loyalty abilities. Leori, Spark-Touched Hunter, does the same thing, but only in a limited capacity, in that it needs to do combat damage before it makes those copies, and even then, only for 1 Planeswalker type. The type here meaning its name in the card type box, so Chandra or Teferi or Tezzeret, for example. This is also somewhat like Oath of Teferi or the Chain Veil, which both skirt around the rule that you can only activate 1 ability per Planeswalker per turn. But with these, it's unlikely that you'll be able to get 2 expensive ultimate abilities off of a single Planeswalker. Additionally, Locus doubles all non-mana activated abilities, not just those on Planeswalkers, so cards like Throne of Geth, or Contagion Engine, which allow us to proliferate loyalty counters on Planeswalkers, will trigger again with Locus on the battlefield. So in this Super Friends deck, I wanted to add Planeswalkers that have great ultimate abilities to double, like Teferi, Master of Time, Mew Larling, and Rouse Zarek, who all have extra turn abilities, and like Vronos, Masked Inquisitor, who can make 2 9/9 indestructible, unblockable, vigilant artifact creatures, and Teferi, Temporal Pilgrim, who will wipe 2 opponents' boards clean. To assemble the rest of our Super Friends Legion, I've mostly included the same kinds of cards you'd find in a Commodore Guff Planeswalker deck. Commodore Guff is a Jeskai Planeswalker commander who is very popular in the Super Friends archetype and synergizes well with having multiple Planeswalkers on the battlefield, as does Chandra, Acolyte of the Flame, and Chandra, Legacy of Fire. There are some Planeswalkers who have emblems that synergize well, such as Anji Steadfast, whose emblem prevents all but 1 damage to Planeswalkers you control, and Teferi, Temporal Archmage, whose emblem lets us activate loyalty abilities on any player's turns at instant speed. In total, I've added 21 Planeswalkers to this deck, some of which I'll mention as we walk through the rest of this breakdown. Again, the full deck list is linked in the description. The goal of this deck is to get the Enigma Jewel onto the battlefield as quickly as possible. Card draw effects like those on various Teferi Planeswalkers will help here, but like any good secret commander deck, I've included a bunch of tutors. Tezzeret the Seeker can put the jewel onto the battlefield at the cost of just 1 loyalty calendar. On top of that, there's cards like Trinket Mage, Moonsilver Key, Fabricate, Reshape, Enlightened Tutor, and Whir of Invention to help get you the jewel as soon as possible, or can be used to fetch mana rocks or other utility artifacts if you've already gotten the jewel in play. I do also want some ways to get the jewel out of the graveyard, in case an opponent decides to blast it off the battlefield. Duretti's Scrap Savant is a planeswalker who can retrieve it, and Treasure Hunter and Goblin Engineer are creatures who can do the same. Once the jewel is out and you're ready to cast Tetzin, the only other hurdle is having 6 expendable artifacts on the battlefield. To help with that, Saheeli Sublime Artificer puts a 1/1 artifact creature on the battlefield every time you cast a non-creature spell. Saheeli the Gifted and Tezzeret Artifice Master can make 1/1 artifact creatures using their +1 loyalty abilities. Karn Living Legacy creates a Power Stone token for his +1. And doubling as some extra ramp, I've added Smothering Tithe, Monologue Tax, and Tempting Contract as treasure token generators. The deck includes a lot of value add cards for Jeskai Super Friends. I'll flash some of those up onto the screen now, but I won't go into much detail about them. Most of these either add loyalty counters to planeswalkers or protect your planeswalkers from harm. I will call out Ripples of Potential in particular as an amazing protection spell. Ripples is a new card for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. At instant speed, this is going to let you proliferate all of your loyalty counters and then phase out any of your planeswalkers. This is a great response to have in your hand as opponents try to target planeswalkers for removal, especially as some of the extra turn ultimates are within reach. I will also call your attention to the Teo Geometric Tactician combo in this deck. Use Spark Double as a copy of Teo, then activate both of their -2 abilities but name left with one and right with the other. This locks out opponents from attacking any player or planeswalkers at all, and if you can reliably get 2 counters on them before your next turn, it's only a matter of time till you find a way to win. Lastly, it may be on your mind that apart from its role in getting the Locus of Enlightenment into play, we haven't taken advantage of Tetzin in the command zone for anything else. Honestly, I think most uses for the free artifact transformation are pretty contrived, but Azor's Gateway from Rivals of Ixalan is a must-add to any Tetzin deck. Its transformation can be a little finicky to pull off, but getting the free transform from a Colossus attack trigger is well worth it to transform the Gateway into Sanctum of the Sun, a legendary land that taps for X mana of any one color, where X is your life total. Paired with Walking Ballista, this is a nearly game-winning combo, which also takes advantage of the artifact tutors included in this deck. And that's about it. The deck includes some staple interaction in Jeskai colors, Boros Charms, Swords to Plowshares, Generous Gifts, and the like, ramp like all the relevant signets, a mid-range land package which can be upgraded or downgraded to fit your budget, and a selection of planeswalkers that will either help you get to endgame, looking at you, Gideon Champion of Justice, or are just fun to play with copied abilities, looking at you, Comet Stellar Pup. On test plays, I find this deck really hits its stride in about 6 to 8 turns, and the price at the time of recording is hovering around $200. This fits in well with the regular play group at my local game store, but there's room to power this deck up or down as necessary. Once again, link to the full deck list can be found in the video description. It absolutely blows my mind that as of the time of recording there are literally 0 decks on EDHREC for Tetzin in the Planeswalker archetype when such a powerful combo exists. Hopefully with this as a starting point, some of you will come up with creative decks to change that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did this video inspire you to build a deck for Tetzin Gnome Champion? If you've watched this video all the way through, consider giving it a like. And if you want to see more videos examining Commander through a tactical lens, your subscription would be greatly appreciated. At the time of recording, I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so I can unlock more features as a YouTube creator, and your support means the world to me. Thank you.